Okay, so here's what we're going to design the actual container or organizer, whatever it is you're working with. So the first thing I'm going to do is start with a hollow box. And I'm going to make this box about, I'm going to make it about 280 that way. And then I'm going to make this about, just double check with my ruler. Let's just say I'm going to make this 100. So what I'm doing is I'm making a box that shows the space I'm working with. So this is the empty space that represents the drawer I'm going to put something inside of. Now, if you notice, the grid here is now smaller than this box. So if you want to make the grid bigger, click on Settings, and I'm just going to make this 400 length and width instead of 200. And X it out. Now it is bigger. So this is the space we're working with. Another thing I got to show you real quick, which probably shouldn't be a problem. So essentially, the printer space, we're going to say, is around 220. This box here would represent the space we have on the printer. So if your design doesn't fit in this box, it's not going to fit in the printer. So we have to make it in smaller components and glue it together. It's like you'll notice here, my space for my drawer is actually wider than the bed of the printer, which doesn't really matter. So I'm going to just make mine fit in there just so we're at that point. So 220 by 220 is the max of the printer, which I doubt it's going to be a problem for what we're doing. But I'm going to delete that one just so it's gone. So I've got my space I'm working with, and then I'm using paint markers, which they are around 132 millimeters wide, if you want to see on camera, right here. Now, of course, I've got a whole handful of them, so I'm going to be using that measurement. So basically 130 by about 75, and they only need to go about 60 tall. So I'm going to get another box, and I'm going to make it 60 millimeters high. I'm going to make the width, or the length this way, I'm going to make it 140 wide. That way there's some room for the markers to shake in there. And for this way, I need at least 70, so I'm going to make it around 75 as well. That way there's room to dig the markers out. So I've got this box here, and I just need to put a hollow box inside to make a drawer organizer out of it. So look here. Okay. So when we do this, we're going to determine how thick you want the walls of your box to be. So this person here is probably about, how big is that? That's about 10 millimeters thick, which is very thick, uses a lot of material, makes it very strong, and also takes a lot of time to get it printed. So we don't need our walls to be that thick. We need them to be more like 5, and 5 would be still pretty strong. Definitely don't go under 2. If you put them under 2, the walls will be able to bend and move. Okay, so for this, what I'm going to do, and there's a few ways you can do this. We're going to keep it simple. I'm going to duplicate and repeat. Move that over there a little bit. Oh, I can't do. Okay, duplicate and repeat. So now there are 2 of them. I'm going to leave them where they are. So what I'm going to do is, so it's 140 here. I'm going to move this 5 millimeters. So we know that this wall will have 5 millimeters. I'm also going to make this hollow so we can see it. And another trick to this, if you want, you can switch your snap grid to 5. So that means every time you try and move something, you only can move it by increments of 5. So over here, I'm now going to move this. You see, well, that is weird. Okay, so don't mess with the snap grid then. All right, so I'm going to go down to 70 that way. And same thing here. So now this needs to be 135, so I'm going to stretch this down to 130. And this side, stretch this down to 65. So now we have a perfect square, and we know that it's 5 millimeters thickness on each wall. Now, before we group these together, we notice the box, if we do that, it'll be empty on the bottom and top, so the box will go all the way through. So we have to lift the hollow box up, and we're going to want to lift it up at least 2 millimeters. That'll give you a thickness of 2 millimeters on the bottom of the box. If you want it to be really sturdy, you do it 5. But let's say I'm going to do 3. So I'm going to lift this up 3 millimeters, and then I'm going to group this together. Got to move the video. And now we've got a box that'll fit in the desk drawer. So if we look, we know it's right there. We got all this space here. So if we wanted to, we could put another space. We could make something to go next to it. You don't have to, but just as an example. So I'm going to copy and paste this, or duplicate and repeat. And then I'm just going to shrink this down a little bit. Now I've got 2 that would fit in there. And same thing. So I know some people did like a whole, once you want to do a whole utensil organizer for forks, spoons, knives. So we had basically 3 or 4 containers along each other to put in a silverware drawer, which you could do that as well. And if you're not sure, I mean, I've got plenty of printers. If you want to do something crazy like that, I can get it printed eventually. It'll take me a while because I'm still very behind. But yeah, I don't want to limit what you guys can do. So you can do multiple things, or as long as it fits in the bed of the printer, which was 200 by 200. Sorry, 220 by 220. So yeah, that's basically it. And again, if you want to do something that sits on top of a desk that holds multiple things, that's fine as well. You guys can get creative or non-creative in this one as you want. So that is it for this project. If you guys have any questions or you need me to elaborate on something, just send me an email. Have a great week.